The shooters were leftists. Proof. Y'all prove it's you openly. This will prove that it was without a doubt the left who shot both Kirk, Trump, and more. Part 2 of this piece will be T57 violence piece. It explains a lot more as to why it was for sure the left. All of those right-wing violence stats are fully debunked in it. I have an Antifa being a terrorist organization. Peace out. The left is openly on mass 24/7 by the 50K plus of you threatening, violent, attacking, non-stop attacks against us, non-stop assassination attempts, daily death threats, 50K of you commenting more / do Rogan / Shapiro next, after Kirk shooting, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. A handful of racist lone wolves are nothing, even 0.1% compared to your side of violence. The left forces acts of war 24/7, that piece is linked. Y'all threatened Kirk's wife and kids after the shooting, 50K plus of you documented calling for more violence / more online, y'all trashed his memorials. I don't want to hear one thing more about how the right is violence. A website was literally made doxing over 50K of you saying things like, Rogan next, or Shapiro next. GoFundMe's raising tens of thousands of dollars for someone who murdered a child in cold blood. There were a couple of fundraisers like that. I ask for civil debate, and I get Charlie Kirk with his neck blown out, lies, evasion blocked before debate, etc. Companies literally released merch with an image of Charlie and his neck blown out for sale, mere days after the incident. A spray paint warrior made it clear that we should all be killed, spraying such on a campus grounds. We all know y'all want us dead, y'all are open about it. Immediate cheering and laughing was heard in the crowd when Kirk was shot. All the left is pure evil, period. Libs root for our direct harm, destruction, downfall, and weakness. Kirk's shooter as well as Trump's were all factually left-wing extremists. The proofs and data do not lie. Multiple militant trans people in the area posted on September 9, before Kirk's assassination, that something big will be coming on the day Kirk was shot. FBI is still investigating potential accomplices. It is not a both sides issue. No assassination attempts on Biden. No assassination attempts on Kamala. No assassination attempts on AOC. No assassination attempts on any other prominent voice on the political left. No violence from pro-Israeli crowds. No arrests on the pro-Israeli side. No calls for death or murder of those who oppose the pro-Israeli side. Those who oppose gender ideology do not call for the death of those who disagree with them. Those who oppose movements like BLM did not call for the death of those who took part in the BLM riots. Social media is not flooded with videos from those on the right celebrating the deaths of those on the left or wishing harm upon them. It is not a both sides issue. A public school teacher played the killing for their 10-11-year-old classmates to see, telling them he deserved to be killed, per NY Post 9/14/2025, also linked. Per the Daily Wire, members of a Leninist and transgender socialist rifle association that has been linked to strings of violent attacks. It was founded by a pronoun user and was once led by Kilashandra Killips. Many of them have been charged with firebombing Tesla dealerships and shooting a police officer. Y'all riot and destroy cities constantly, and if we didn't have the National Guard ensuring so at the last No Kings protest, y'all probably would have done so again. National Guard deployed at dawn, 7,000 troops, helicopters every 20 blocks, zero tolerance announced. Protesters showed up with signs, not shields. Why? Because last year's footage is viral, 200 arrested, bikes smashed, bricks traced to NGO vans. This time no organizers risked federal time. It stayed peaceful because deterrence works. Cops weren't hoping, they were promising. Without us, history says riot by noon, same crowd, same grievances, same playbook. Y'all are literally on camera saying, we're gonna burn this *** down. Again. Texas Democrat Jolanda Jones says she's going to wipe out every Republican and slash their necks. Y'all are the side of constant death threats daily against our biggest, nightly clashes, reporting people for threats that are factually not even threats. People like Charlie, him, and I try daily to be kind, civilly debate, and find common ground / reason with these people, and we can't. I ask for civility and to debate a single thing even 19/20 times its evasion, blocked, insults, memes, and enraging nonsense. Leftists and real traditional Americans who actually care about American lives cannot really coexist anymore. A Minnesota man allegedly posted a TikTok offering $45,000 for the death of former Florida AG Pam Bondi. A lot of us weren't even political, but y'all took away one of our biggest icons, shot at our others, threatened what was left after, while dancing on his grave. Y'all took away senior year from many. Y'all came after our country, after already coming after our people for years and years. Y'all attacked directly our rights, freedoms, and values, our voice. Y'all did this. Y'all force war. Y'all are the party of violence. This is all on y'all. Y'all destroy America and American lives, root for our direct harm, weakness, downfall, and destruction, cuss us out, all while forcing daily acts of war and pushing extremist, openly anti-American values down our throats. We have deserved rage and anger. The Violence Project database at the Violence Project org pegs 58% of ideologically driven attacks since 1966 as left-leaning, from the 2017 congressional baseball shooting by a Bernie Sanders fan to the 2022 Buffalo suspects' eco-terror rants echoing AOC's climate alarmism. Meanwhile, right-wing cases hover at 42%, often overhyped by media. But the left's violence isn't just physical, it's a non-stop freakout machine online and IRL, where they melt down into tantrums over every loss, doxing families and flooding inboxes with death threats like clockwork. Take Joe Rogan. In 2025, he reported over 50 credible threats a week from left-wing trolls after his Trump endorsement episodes, including swatting calls to his Austin studio that sent SWAT teams storming in at 3 a.m., as he detailed on JRE. Most of our major right-wing influencers receive around 10-50 death threats a day, and they aren't from civil conservatives. Perks, a conservative commentator, had his wife and kids attacked and bombarded with graphic R*E and murder threats from leftist blue-check Twitter mobs in July 2025 after his border security thread went viral. Tim Pool, I could go on and on. Non-stop attacks, threats, and attempts at lives from the left. Pure proven evil. Left-wing on mass violence has been a major problem since the early 2000s, if not earlier. Whether Underground bombed 25 targets in the 70s under leftist banners, killing cops, the Symbionese Liberation Army kidnapped Patty Hearst in 74, and don't forget the 2017 Scalise shooting by a raging Dem volunteer. The left's always the ones throwing the tantrums. Campus shout-downs, silencing speakers 89% of the time per fire, or the 2024 DNC, where delegates rioted over Gaza planks, smashing windows and assaulting security. This is an example of a reply I get from a leftist when I civilly ask to debate a single thing. Real comment they sent: you will be smarter when someone bashes in your skull with a baseball bat. Protesters in NYC called for the hanging of Secretary Kristi Noem and the execution of ICE agents, in footage shared by @Scootercaster NY. One woman pushed back, saying, "Two wrongs don't make a right," and was immediately drowned out. Y'all form insurrections / movements against / clash too often. It was nightly at one point. Imagine, as Matt Walsh said, loosely here, adding some in, imagine that the weaponizing fascist left, still in power, writes articles of fear-mongering painting right-wing Americans as terrorists, while oppressing and wanting gun bans, and worse, as I've covered here in my pieces / channel. Now imagine all of the weaponization against innocents, assassination attempts, nightly clashes against ICE and officials for months on end, countless riots and cities destroyed, daily death threats, fire-bombing buildings, and Tesla dealership. Imagine we shot at your biggest repeatedly, tirelessly won if you're biggest on camera, horrifically, not to mention arena, all of the crime, sabotage, fraud, treason, sedition, corruption, censoring, destruction, division, tyranny, etc., all while 50K plus of you cheer and openly call for more, all of this after destroying America and American lives, rooting for our harm, cussing us, and y'all force 24/7 daily acts of war against us, non-stop. Now imagine within all of this time, one of us had shot up a country club yelling, MAGA, and then another one of us shot up a news station leaving a manifesto behind about liberal bias in the media. Then imagine one of us plants a bomb inside one of MSNBC broadcast fans. Then a week later, one of us perched upon a rooftop with a sniper rifle opens fire on a Planned Parenthood clinic, killing / injuring multiple people. This just the latest in a string of leftist attacks against them. All of this your left has done, and all in a pretty insanely short amount of time, all in the last couple of years or less. Is there any doubt how Democrats would be responding? Be glad we still have America. A popular left-wing page called God, We Hate Trump posted recently, the only Trump parade we hope for seeing is his casket being paraded around. The amount of comments and posts I see of leftists making that exact sentiment is beyond immense. You are some evil, evil people. Dems and libs prove for us all to see daily that they are the openly evil, vile, threatening, war-forcing, extremist, assassinating, bombing/attacking the ones doing the most extremism on a constant basis, being violent, threatening people like Kirk's kids and wife, thousands calling for more. Sit down. There have been more than a couple of attempts on President Trump's life. On one of my posts, a left seriously actually wrote about a murdered, innocent 14-year-old boy. The kid's parents were probably Republican Trump supporters, then he deserved it. Evil, evil work, man. The amount of times I have been to die or suffer for my mere political views is immense. At Datalo83 on Threads wrote to me, eat, poo emoji, and skull emoji. I don't debate fascists. I don't debate fascists. I remind them that they're wireless trash and I gun emoji them. I merely sent one fact and asked for civil discourse, like usual. Prominent left-wingers have been outright inciting and calling for violence. A British father has been charged with murder after allegedly ting his 23-year-old daughter during a heated family argument in Texas that reportedly centered on political differences over Donald Trump. A woman killed her own father in an election night rage. This is all common sense we all are brutally aware of because it is shoved in our face. Dems are proven evil in their actions, agendas all the crime, deaths, suffering, division, lies, and more. An attempted terror attack was recently carried out against DHS and federal agents. Someone stole an ambulance, loaded it with gas cans, and rammed an Idaho federal building. Thissies on the Dems. They will say nothing and only keep egging it on. The Trump Kennedy Center was recently doused in toxic chemicals in a target attack. Video from an anti-ICE protest shows individuals openly voicing support for political violence, with some calling for Nick Shirley to be M*RD*ed, like Charlie Kirk. All of this violence, division, hate, and attempts have factually been entirely on Democrats. Libs in the load posted online openly, Trump's here, here's his coordinates, Iran, strike him there. One liberal woman posted on TikTok that she hopes our troops die overseas and do not make it home. Say his name, Corporal Tim O'Connor. He was killed in Pennsylvania recently. A far-left, anti-cop, Antifa militant, Jesse Elks. The media is refusing to cover this even. A lefty slashed a Trump supporter's tires and called her racist for supporting Trump, then gunned her down. Direct threat and agitator spray paints kill your local ICE agent on the side of a federal building in Los Angeles as thousands marched through the city's downtown for the No Kings protest. An anonymous organization page on X going by your Anon News wrote, quote, a violent revolution against the establishment in the USA would be an act of self-defense at this point. The immense level of evil, wicked sickness that we are dealing with is drowning. We must rise above before we suffocate. I am physically ill from all of this violence put together. A man merely wearing a Trump shirt got refused service at Smoothie King and then received death threats. Another TikToker faces 5 years in jail after calling for MAGA supporters to be shot. The bullet, hey fascist, catch. The left, this guy was clearly MAGA. Zero indications / proof of any staging of Kirk nor Trump. That piece I did is linked. The attempt on Trump's life being staged is a literal impossibility. Repeat that. A literal impossibility is a literal impossibility. Doesn't matter who says what. The fact remains fact, an untrained child, essentially, with a zero magnification red dot sight, nearly 200 yards away, a millimeter away from a kill shot cannot be staged. You'd have to be a moron to believe that. Nobody would allow that to happen on purpose no matter what, and even so if they did it is a micro-movement away from death, and it would be asking to die. A staffer for Republican Rep Ken Calvert was violently assaulted in D.C. Conservatives are under attack. Vance Bolter, the 57-year-old Minneapolis shooting suspect, isn't a Republican. Appointed to a state workforce board by Democratic governors Mark Dayton and Tim Walz, he's got clear Democratic ties. His 2020 voter registration was no party preference, with no evidence linking him to Republican beliefs. His car's manifesto and hit list targeted 70 Democrats and pro-choice activists, like Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar, driven by anti-abortion or Christian nationalist motives, not anything Republican. 5 former schoolmates told USA Today they didn't keep in touch with him after high school, but recounted what they knew of Rowley growing up, Idaho sniping. There is no end to the extents of en masse violence and evil from the left. Never say right-wing violence is worse again. A handful of racist, lone wolf holes over the decades is nothing compared whatsoever to the left, 24/7, en masse non-stop. I'm probably going to be next on their list, pray for me, cause I'm going up against hell, and I'll probably end up just like Kirk with evil loons dancing on my grave.